Brett Perigo, tonight's second place finisher. Plenty of fans here, Brett, and a solid second place finish.
Yeah, I got to shout out the Turn 2 Terribles over there. They're all a bunch of good guys to hang out with, talk to. I really like them.
How are you doing tonight, man?
Hey, I'm talking here. You know who you're talking to? Macho Man! On my way to Monday Night Raw.
The second one.
Your choice.
It's a trap.
I feel like it is. I feel like he's setting up fights in the front stretch is what he's trying to do.
Speedway. We've got Devin Gordon with us.
At Keen Motorsports Shop here with Kyle Keen.
Sitting here with Sean Keen. We're going to talk a little bit about racing history.
Yep.
It is Monday, April 14th, 2025. What's going on? I am Jimmy here with Chris and Jay-Z. We are the Turn 2 Terribles. Thanks so much for tuning in tonight. We got a little bit to go over. We got some racing from this past weekend to recap, including BAPS, where Danny Dietrich got the win after traveling all the way from I-55, which is where the World of Outlaws race. We'll talk a little bit about the rainouts, the weekend to come, and more. So just want to give a shout out to everybody in the chat. Matt Bird, Marie Beasley, Jarrett Clark, Randy Kopp, Mandy Lopman, James Magby, and Brandon Zerk. Thanks you guys for tuning in. And for all of you that listen the next day, we appreciate you guys listening the next day. If you're watching us on X, maybe we're pushing to there too now. We'll be streaming live from there, and then hopefully we might be trying to do TikTok and some stuff. We're trying to get some more social media stuff going, so keep an eye on that. But yeah, again, thanks for everybody for tuning in. Hope you all had a great weekend. Chris, Jay-Z, how are you guys feeling tonight?
Go ahead, Jay-Z.
I'm great, Chris. I'm just happy to see you, buddy.
Yeah. Chris and Rare Storm actually here.
I'm happy to see you too, Jeremy.
It's good. It's good.
Chris, how's it feel to be back?
At
least this week.
It's a lot of pressure, you know. I'm glad I got the mic and audio situation figured out. It actually works. Look at me now.
Sound good.
Jimmy, how are you, buddy? That's most important.
I was taken back by Jimmy being nice to me. But yeah, Jimmy, how are you?
I'm great. You know, been pretty sick the past week, but other than that, I'm here. I'm alive, and I'm ready to talk some racing. So everybody's. We got James and Matt. A couple people are real happy about the drums. So let's get right on into it. Let's recap this weekend. We're going to start with the rainouts in the area. Friday, both Williams Grove and Selinsgrove. So all that blow up over, did Williams Grove purposely scheduled the makeup over Sealands Grove or not. Didn't matter. Both got rained out. And Saturday, Lincoln and Port both also canceled. Pretty much everywhere canceled here in the area. Friday and Saturday. Just a lot of rain from pretty much all week, but really through Thursday through Saturday. Wasn't as much as I thought, at least not here by me. I don't know how it was by you guys, but I mean, it was still wet. So glad to see that they at least got Sunday in, which we're going to get to here in a second. But yeah, so let's get right into that. BAPS yesterday. Danny Dietrich, after traveling all the way, he made the decision with the rainouts, looking at the weather early in the week, to travel all the way out to I-55. So did Chase Dietz with the Stamen 23. And before the feature, and we'll get to this on Saturday, but Danny made a decision Saturday night to skip the feature, load up, come home to make this race. And it paid off. Pretty much dominated this race. Wins it from third. Jeff Halligan looked really good in this. Finished second. Brock Zierfoss with a podium in third after a huge battle between him, Macri, Raymer, and Troy Wogman. Really from third to sixth. A lot of close racing there. Your heat race winners were Jeff Halligan, Freddie Raymer, Doug Hammaker, who started on the pole of this and finished seventh, and TJ Stutz. Also, Jake Karklin was your hard charger from 24th to 17th. Shout out Kyle Keene, who finished 22nd, making the feature. Looked really good. And shout out Jordan Strickler, finished 20th. Fellas, what did you guys see from this race yesterday?
Go ahead, Chris.
Jeremy.
Okay, Chris, I'll go.
I mean, I watched through the stream. So, what did you see at the track?
Not much. It was a little chaotic, to be honest. I was standing entry to one, and it felt like everyone was really fast, and the bombs were pretty big, the sliders. So I just felt like I didn't know if a slider was on a lap car, because there were some pretty good cars that were like in lap car like conversation. So I kind of lost track of who was where. I thought, Jeff was leading, and then at one point I saw Danny was in front of Jeff, and I'm like, I think Danny's leading unless someone else got there first. So I honestly I lost track a little bit about who was where in the running order. But man, there were some big sliders like in 1 and 2. They had to throw pretty deep to clear the drivers, and I think it was good. I saw a lot of competitive passes in close racing, so I think it was good from where I stood. But it was hard for me to keep track of what was going on, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, I was watching the stream with Sprint Car Unlimited dot is it .tv?
TV.
Is that right?
Yep.
Car Unlimited. That's what I meant. Jeff Halligan looked fast, looked stupid fast, and then Danny came out like a rocket and did Danny things at BAPS. There was no competition. Danny looked good as shit and whatever. Round of applause to Danny Dietrich for showing the boys how to race BAPS.
Billy Dietrich first says, "What the hell? Did you go 8 rounds with Mike Tyson?" And then he said, "I'm ready for the shade to be thrown at DD again, just like last week."
Is he talking about me going to Mike Tyson?
I would imagine.
Because I only have sunglasses on. I only won 8 rounds of Danny Dietrich, and I actually didn't even do it. So, Jay-Z, you take the floor.
No, go ahead, Jimmy. You had a thought there.
No, I don't think we really threw that much shade at him. We disagreed on some points, but
I did a little bit.
I just want to say
I agreed with Danny mostly on the Lincoln stuff. I disagreed with him on the Williams Grove stuff, but I know. Yeah, and then me and you disagreed on some of the Lincoln stuff. So yeah, you want to say anything on it, Jay-Z?
So
yes, Chris, you didn't. You weren't here.
I'm just confirming. I'm just making sure
you're not here.
Hey, I'm just getting ahead of this.
What do you mean getting ahead of it? You're behind a week. How are you going to get ahead?
Either way.
So there's no shade this week, because here's where I'm at with this, and I'll be honest. I think a lot of people wanted to throw shade pretty quick when they decided to pack up and leave I-55.
Yeah,
I saw it
a
lot of places, right? Like the people that aren't fans were like all the things. I looked at it and I went, okay, like not a great starting spot, certainly worse than the night before. Track wasn't great, but obviously this isn't just because he's upset and mad at somebody. He has obligations to be back here. I can understand that. This trip was an impromptu trip anyway that wasn't on the plans, and it's freaking Missouri. This wasn't just Ohio. We could take our time, drive a couple hours and be back. This was a commitment out and a commitment back. And they had a deadline and said, we need to be back for Sunday if BAPS looks like they're racing. And it looked like all things, I'm sure he had the info. We're going to give this a go, make sure we're going to get this race in. So, right there on top, his top wing, RV 4-wheel drive performance.
Yep.
I don't know this. I didn't get to talk
And
to him
York
in any
Excavating
length.
too is a big sponsor.
What's that?
York Excavating too on his car and is a big sponsor at BAPS as well.
Big sponsor at BAPS, and RV 4-wheel drive is a big sponsor of the Point Fund at BAPS. They put up a lot of money for this. So just totally 1,000-foot view, assuming I'll be a keyboard warrior on this one because I don't have the facts, but I assume that there's a lot of commitment made in saying, hey, they're putting money up at that track for the Point Fund. I'm going to be committing to race the BAPS races, right? One of his sponsors, co-sponsoring, made a commitment to be back there. Not going to break that commitment for an impromptu trip out to I-55 based on the shitty weather we've had here. So makes sense. I get it. I am impressed they made that work logistically. They had a couple guys that didn't go out because they couldn't get off work on that team. They didn't take the whole team out. So shorthanded probably than normal, maybe, I think. And then have to drive that trip back. And I think the post, somebody posted like maybe 12:30 yesterday, pulled in at BAPS, and BAPS allowed them to pull back and get in the pits and do their maintenance and do all their stuff. But man, like you have an issue on the road, you have a highway, something you're pushing it to like race on Sunday. So kudos to them for going out and saying, hey, they have the intestinal fortitude to make that trip. They don't have to. They did and said, we're going, let's go. So good for them for sure. And honestly, show good speed on a track that's not something we're used to, that we don't race on a lot around here. He's seen it a couple times, I think, been out there, but at the same time, this is what he's been wanting to find out, right? Where do we stack up against the best? And at somewhere that a lot of those cars he raced against had a lot more laps on that place in history than he does, and stacked up really well, right? Not the overall result in the feature, maybe from the night before, but heat race action, heat races, speed, time trials, it was all there. So
he had a complete night.
They got to be encouraged,
and was still good the second night as well. The one that they pulled out of, I think he was going to start kind of mid. He got passed at the end. We'll talk about that later, but he got passed right at the end. So he's going to start probably back in the mid-teens, low teens, I think, somewhere around there.
Yeah.
So, just super impressive with what they were able to do this weekend, and coming in and really dominating the race like that. Just kind of recapping the race a little bit here. Just like some of things that happened. There was a yellow on lap 1 for Austin Bishop. Got around in turn 1. A yellow on the second lap, or really that restart. Billy Dietrich got sideways in turn 3. Halligan took that lead early then on the ensuing restart. There's a lot yellow on lap 6 for Brenham Crouch, who got a flat right rear. And then on lap 14, Danny takes the lead and pretty much checks out from there. There's good battles there from 3rd to 6th. Again, like I said, and there's a battle at pretty much in the last corner between Brock and Troy for the last podium spot. Shout out to Cale Thomas, 16th to 10th in his debut in the 1A. He was also supposed to go out to I-55, but they had some truck issues on their way out, weren't able to make it. But they were able to get the car to BAPS on Sunday and have a top 10 run. Looked pretty impressive. Anybody else from here that you want to give a kudos
Kenny
to?
Kenny Edkin making the show, and I know it's a super sportsman, BAPS track champion, legend, whatever. In the 410, it's been a struggle. Self-admittedly, he says it, and they make the show and run good in a field that's 38 cars deep. Impressive. So good for Kenny, and even Jordan Strickler, honestly, right above him.
Yeah.
A hell of a drive to even get in the show. And they did it. Both of them did it through the heat race, right? which is cool as
Yeah.
shit.
Yeah.
Jake Parkland was impressive going from 24th to 17th. Logan Rumsey looked really strong. He won that B main after Kyle Keen led that for a while. Yeah, and Dylan Norris got a top 10 as well. He looked pretty impressive. Doug Hamaker getting a 7th, and that Wyatt Hamaker, he says, I'm happy my dad is getting better, and finishing P7 is a huge step forward. Absolutely. Started on the pole, stayed up front, and then when you have Brock, Wagaman, Raymer, and Macri just kind of there. I mean, to still hang around with them guys is super impressive.
Yeah. I've been watching Doug, when I seen it Lincoln, or excuse me, Williams Grove, here at BAPS a little bit. I didn't get to see the port races a whole lot, but it's he's looking more and more comfortable each week. And, obviously news broke this week that new crew chief for a couple weeks,
Yes.
right? For Mr.
yeah.
Prutzman,
Yes.
former with longtime KKR World of Outlaw champion, multi-time. The guy has put in some of his secret stuff and to get Doug comfortable. And I'll be honest, last week at Williams Grove, the heat race and early feature was the best I saw Doug look so far. And that was his first night at Williams Grove. It was everyone's. And he was passing cars and he looked really good, looked really comfortable. And I think they kind of noted he felt really good, felt like, hey, the car's in the racetrack, doing what it's supposed to do. And, great job in that heat race, had every opportunity to fall back. And even in the feature, held his ground, did a great job. And if you're behind this group right here, who's been in the top 10 of every race they've been in all year, everywhere,
Yeah.
you're doing it right. And, Dylan Norris has passed a lot of race cars this year. He's in there with Dylan Norris. Tyler Ross has passed a lot of race cars this year.
Yep.
That Shark car went +6 with a lot of these people. Doug Hamaker is going to be fine. And, they're not going to have Prutzman all year. Maybe there's some help going on there, consulting, whatever. But this is going to be a tremendous help with the learning curve into the 410 and racing at Port Royal. He hasn't done a ton of. They're going to do a lot of Port Royal. So, just a great run there. A lot of these guys, right? GMAC 15 to 11, love it. Derek Hauk just outside the top 10 in a new ride. Right, that's a pretty solid run. Starting P9, did his job in the heat race to get there in timing. This is a time trial show.
Yeah.
So these guys that started up front did a really nice job. By the way, TJ Stutz, did you guys see it? He had his top wing on the plank car. Man, it was confusing.
Okay.
When I started looking at pictures, I was so confused. I'm like, that's the red wing. And I looked at the body. I'm like, this has got black and green writing on it.
When I was doing the rundown, I had to put in 11P. I'm like, the 11P, I thought he had his normal car.
Yeah. He had the 11T top wing and 11P body. I'm glad it's 11s. I was so confused. It should have been the 11P.
Yeah, that's true.
11TP. Anyway, good stuff.
Yeah. Talk real quick about Danny's dominance here at BAPS. He's won 75% of the races there the past 2 years, it feels like. And I think statistically it's pretty close. Like, there hasn't been many other winners in the 410 races there. Is Danny at BAPS the most dominant driver at a certain track in the area?
In recent history?
Aside
from Freddie 2 years ago at Lincoln.
Lincoln, yeah.
I mean,
absolutely.
The tear he's on is only comparable to Freddie at Lincoln or Derek Locke and his perfect year at Williams Grove in 58. Danny, he's beat out Troy. Him and Brent Marks have battled. Him and Anthony Macri. Danny's just stupid good there.
Yep.
And if he doesn't win, he's finishing second or third at worst. So,
him starting third in this was too easy. And I'm not saying that to shade anyone else, but him starting P3 at BAPS is almost cheating. So he did his job, right? It still wasn't easy, but he did his job. So
I was a little worried watching the heat races because it was
Wasn't
train
great.
on bottom of 3 and 4. Track seemed, I don't know if the track was heavy. I don't think it was heavy, but it was locked down. They did some water in 3 and 4 after, and they brought the late models out, who a lot of them, I guess a bunch of them did the double because they ran Path Valley earlier in the afternoon. They ended up coming out doing their hot laps. Kind of, I like the way that they kind of worked it in, and they ended up getting multiple lanes in 3 and 4, top lane and a bottom lane, and were able to make it racy. And so it wasn't just so single file. So I got to applaud BAPS on that. It was looking, I don't want to say bleak because it happens. With heat races, they were able to adjust and make it racy then. For the feature, which that's kind of the MO for BAPS. But I was surprised that the second lane came in 3 and 4 as well as it did.
In dirt racing anymore, you have to go into it thinking you're going to get one of two good. You're going to get a heat really good or a feature really good. And
Yeah.
that's not listen, we all would love it to be great all night. But the fact of the matter is one sacrifices the other a lot of times. And I'm okay with that. I'd rather it be the feature. I think we all would.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of times people get in like, hey, these heats were awful. This feature is going to be awful. But the
Yeah.
track know, like, hey, we can't have that. We can't do it that way. We can't not have it that way. Apparently, except I-55 the other night. But the heat races were so good, exactly went the opposite, and they
Mm-hmm.
weren't able to recreate it for the feature. Right? It just didn't work out that way. But that's very normal. We've seen this at Lincoln many times. Hey, we're going to get this ready for the end of the night. We're going to have to make do early. I can't get it right there if I get it right here. But every now and then, Lincoln, Port Royal gets both of them right. And that's the best of the best. That's when it's great. We had that at the heat races, 3-4 weeks ago at Lincoln, the handicap show where Matt Campbell came through and a bunch of them. And then the
Mm-hmm.
feature was really good. That's very rare. You get one or the other, right? So this just happened to be made the feature right. And that's typical BAPS to be
Yeah.
fair. They get the place right more often than not for the feature. And that's
I
what we'll
agree.
take.
Final thoughts from the 410 race here at BAPS? Let's check out the other winners from the weekend. First, we'll talk about Tony Jackson, who won the wingless sportsman feature at BAPS after battling with our buddy Brett Perigo.
Spirited battle
Slider
with Brett
Fest.
Perigo.
I mean, they were throwing haymakers at each other. It's more Brett than anything. But Tony looked really, really, really fast up top. Brett started on the pole. He looked pretty good, but Tony was really fast up top. There was a restart. He got right to him. And Brett did what he needed to do, kept sliding him, trying to slow him up, and just kept going back and forth for it was like 4 or 5 laps at least. And then there was one corner where Brett just didn't get the drive off at 2, and Tony got a much better one, and he kind of checked out from there. What did you guys see from the wingless sportsman feature?
Yeah, I mean, exactly what you said, and I mean Tony looked. He found the top sooner, and Tony Jackson is really good running the top, running the cushion, and he kind of got around Brett, and I mean support the Brett. He got up top and raced him hard. They raced slider battle back and forth for I think 4 or 5 laps. Ultimately, Tony Jackson gets the lead, and we had a late caution that kind of I think cost Brett 2 more spots, but
Yes. Yeah.
a hell of a job by Tony Jackson and a hell of a job by Brett Perigo. Like that was hard, clean racing for a good 4, 5, 6 laps back and forth, and you love to see it. It's rare, at least in my experience with the wingless sportsmen, where you get a deal where they can actually get off the bottom, and these guys took advantage of that.
Mm-hmm.
And you love to see it. You love to see it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this was awesome. Same thing with the wingless sportsmen. When they are rolling the cushion at BAPS is the best version of these race cars, in my opinion. We saw this last year, early in the season. Great on the top slider fest with I want to say Billy Bryan Jr.
Yep.
and Tony Jackson, and they were just ripping the fence, ripping the cushion. It was great. I know it's not Steve Wilbur's favorite. If he was here, he would admit it and be like, "No, that shit ain't for me." But that's okay. He gets his share of, around the bottom, slow and slick stuff for sure. But these cars are a ton of fun to watch. It's a great division. Hate to see torn up race cars, but listen, Tony Jackson's been on the show, friend. We talk. Hell of a nice guy, great team. Love talking to them. But Brett Perigo is our guy, right? There's body panels back there. Jimmy's went out and on the road with them and the team. Chris has helped him out a little bit, and it was so cool to see him driving with confidence, driving aggressively. Right, he didn't do anything that was too crazy to either put himself in jeopardy or Tony. It was close to timer 2 and 3 and 4.
There was one time I'm like, I don't know if you should
Oh,
do that,
I was
fella.
I was leaning back like, oh no, Brett.
Like,
Is he gonna
don't
finish the
don't
slider?
send Tony to
Um,
the guardrail, man.
But
No,
Tony's
he's
a
right.
veteran. Tony's a veteran and saw it coming and was doing everything he can to get the lead. And he did have a better car. I think
For
Tony
sure.
was better. And after that red flag, it kind of showed Brett kind of faded a little bit there.
Yep.
But Brett hasn't really been racing that long. And he's still learning, figuring out, but it's good to learn up front. You don't learn how to be fast running for 15th. So I was happy to see that. It ended up being a pretty good race. So, Winglet Sportsman put on a show.
Absolutely. And I will say that was the first race that I've watched in a long time where I'm sitting here watching a stream, getting hyped. It might go back to like 2015 Gordon at Martinsville type stuff because come on, Brady. But no, good stuff all around.
Randy says, "Isn't Tony retiring after the season?" Yes, from full-time racing.
That is
He's going to go back
word on
and
the
focus
street.
on factory stuff, on family stuff, family stuff. He did say in his interview way later with John Crawl, who was the announcer for the night, saying he's not ruling out maybe a couple events here and there, but this will be his last full-time season as running 40, 45 races. That's for sure. Your top 5: Tony Jackson, Cliff Bryan went from 10th to 2nd, Trent Yoder 8th to 3rd, Brett Perigo goes from the pole back to 4th, and your Steve Wilbur rounds out the top 5. And then also happening yesterday was the Silver Crown race at Terre Haute. Good race, 100 laps. Logan Seavey gets the win. He's just so good in these Silver Crown cars. Had a hell of a battle with Dason Pursley, who led a lot of this early on. He led laps 1 through 54. And the cushion, it was so thin and gnarly up top, especially in 3 and 4. These guys were backing it in. And Dason screwed up once, got over it, ended up spinning out. Actually, before that, he lost the lead by going over it, dropped back about 4 seconds, and charged right back to Logan's rear bumper, and that's when he ended up going over the edge and spinning it. But it was a good race throughout. Logan wins over Justin Grant, who he had to come back from pretty far. Brady Bacon finishes 3rd. Briggs Danner, shout out, finishes 4th. CJ Leary, Chase Dietz went from 20th to 6th. He was your hard charger. Matt Westfall, Kaylee Bryson, Mitchell Mills, and Bill Rose getting a top 10. Ricky Thornton Jr. finishes 12th. Yeah, fun race there. Let's get into the World of Outlaws on Friday night. Carson Macedo goes quick time, wins a heat race, and goes from 3rd to 1st in a hell of a... This is the best feature of the weekend. Definitely probably the best feature of the season so far. At least World of Outlaw wise, for sure. Logan Schuchart started on the pole, led early. He was battling with Danny. Danny kind of fell back, was battling both Carson and Cole Macedo. Yellow on lap 11. Carter Morell was stopped inside the opening of turn 1 and 2, didn't get in far enough, so they had to throw a yellow. David Gravel moves up to 2nd on that ensuing restart, while both Cole and Carson Macedo are battling for 3rd. Then there was a lap 13. Hunter Schoenberg stops on the front stretch on that restart. Carson Macedo gets around Gravel, sets up to him to go after Logan Schuchart. Yellow on lap 26, where Parker Price Miller just loses power out of the exit of turn 2, Zach Hampton hits him. And then on that ensuing restart, Carson Macedo gets around Logan Schuchart and checks out. There's a red flag on lap 34. Reese Moran gets over, and Kerry Madsen spun, and they were in the same corner, but it was unrelated. It was very strange. But there was a red flag for that. But Carson Macedo gets the win here. Like I said, he went quick time, also won a heat race. Logan Schuchart also won a heat race. Austin McCarl and Danny Dietrich, who went from second back to 13th. He also won a heat race, got in the dash, and started second. And your hard charger, 21st to 8th, was Garrett Williamson. What are your thoughts from Friday night at I-55 Speedway?
David Growell keeps gonna Brad Sweet these motherfuckers all the way into the World Finals.
Is that
That's
my
my thought.
picture, by the way?
It is.
Yes, most
That's
likely.
pretty gnarly. I'm pretty good at that
Yeah,
sometimes.
you are.
That's pretty cool. No, not a whole lot here. This was very entertaining for sure. And Logan Schuchart 955. There's something about this combo that just goes together. He has done over his career. He's really good at I-55, and it doesn't make a lot of sense. It doesn't seem like it fits his style, but for whatever reason, he's
Probably the
really good at
sponsorship.
I-55. It's really odd, but great race, right? Bill Baylog, by the way, continues to impress me week after week after week. He no matter where he time trials, good, better, indifferent, he passes cars in the heat to somehow find his ass either right outside the dash or getting in a dash where he didn't start there. So he just gets it figured out. Early starts, like restarts, he's really, really good and makes it work and hangs on. Passes cars and features.
With
Donnie
that,
Scott,
I
what's
would
that?
say Bill Baylog has gotten better each year. Like him now, to your point, like he keeps impressing. He keeps progressing in his driving to find his way to weasel into being a contender each night in some way. It's interesting.
Yeah. Anyway, but yeah, no, agree completely. A lot of passing here. Garrett Williamson, Buddy
Mhm.
Kofoid, Donnie Schatz.
Yeah, 18th to
Um,
6th for Donnie.
looking at a couple of even Peck +8. You got guys that really moved, and move. Gravel 8th to 3rd we expect, and probably lucky he didn't get further than that. But just really cool. Just this place always tends to put on a pretty good show, eh, which we'll get into here in a second. But
Mhm.
good race.
Yeah, good race all night. The heat races were good. These guys were all over the place. It kind of reminded me of like some of the better Port Royal shows where you have a top, you have a bottom, and you have a slider line, and that's what these guys had all night. It's just a much smaller track, and they're so tight. And I don't know how they didn't. That goes to show how good these guys are, because there could have been a lot more wrecks. You know what I mean? Just because of how tight they are on this track, and throwing some of these moves that they are, and the cushion was kind of getting a little choppy at points. So when they're trying to do their turn down, to combat a slider, they're getting bent out of shape a little bit. It's really fun to watch. Um, I gotta shout out the entire rookie class of this outlaw uh, roster. I mean, Chris Wyndham's looked really, really good. He's probably been the most improved driver so far this year, I would think. Very early. Cole Macedo was really good. He finished his 14th here, but he was much better than that. He was up in the top 5 battling with all these guys. Zach Hampton looked really good. Skylar G's been pretty decent. Connor Morrell has been a surprise. So yeah, I mean, I think, and you got Hunter Schurenberg there too. Just and Garrett Williamson, who's your hard charger. All these guys, all the rookies, all made the feature, without having to go too crazy, through the B main, or I don't think Garrett had to go through the B main, but I don't think anybody else had to go through the B main. They with 60 cars there. I mean, that's the big thing too, and that's why I think what Danny did was so impressive as well. Doesn't really go out there that often, going against the Outlaws and a bunch of high limit guys, and then you know it- whoever else is out there, and um, really tough competition, and just goes out, and just to make this feature was something. You know what I mean? You really had to fight for it, and then to win a heat, finish second in the dash, and time trial. It all fell together for him for the first night, and even a little bit for the second night, which we'll get here in a second. But yeah, Chris, any thoughts on this?
Nope.
Jay-Z?
No, sir.
Let's go to Saturday night, where first and second flip-flop. Logan Schuchart gets the win over Carson Macedo, Donnie Schatz, Rico Abreu, and Aaron Reitzel, who goes quick time and wins a heat race. David Gravel finishes sixth, who also won a heat. Phil Baylog finishes seventh, who also won a heat. And Tanner Thorson finishes eighth, who also won a heat. Hunter Schurenberg, 25th to 14th. It was the hard charger. Danny Dietrich was a scratch because he had to make it back to BAPS here. So I don't know if Hunter Schurenberg I don't think he had to use a provisional. I think he was just the next guy in. I don't know. I have to double check on that. But the way this one played out, this one was the total opposite of the first night. Just Schuchart gets the lead early, starts on the pole. Rico and Reitzel kind of take some shots early at him as they started up there in the top three with them. Macedo starts to put pressure on as they get in the lap traffic. Around lap 15, Donnie Schatz joins that party. They're all but around halfway, it rubbered up. In the last 15, it was just a choo-choo train around the bottom. Happens sometimes, but they produced on this night the best 4 heat races that you can ask for. Thank you, Isaac. Hunter had a provisional, so that makes sense. I didn't know if they took every series has a different rule with that, if they have a reserve or not. But Hunter did have to take provisional. But yeah, the 4 heat races in this one were crazy. You had 2 heats that the transfer spot was decided at a photo finish at a line, basically, and just crazy passing all over the place. It was awesome. What do you guys think from Saturday night at I-55?
I didn't see any of it, so
All right. So this was 4 of the best heat races I've ever seen in my life. All 4 of them. Hands down, just fantastic. Everybody was kind of trying to do the bottom, and it was sort of there all 4. Zach Hampton made it work the best of anyone by far. It was kind of there, kind of wasn't. So people were kind of moving around. It wasn't one lane dominant, which means that, a lot of times in these heat races, tracks are heavier. So these guys get in a line, they spread out, and you got what you got. This was so slow, and they thought they could run the bottom in 3 and 4 that it created this momentum, huge momentum things. If you could get it right, through 3 and 4 and come down off the corner, off of 4 and make a run to the line. And we saw that, like you said, multiple heats, and just passing for the lead. And it created and took the arrow thing out of it. Not that it wasn't there, but it when it's slow like that, like we see at Port Royal, yeah, it still matters. But when it was slow like that, multiple lanes in a heat, it created that. That track is racy as it is, and it was really good. And people started already to be like, "There's rubber down already," and we were like, "Oh no." Well, for the heats, it wasn't enough that it created a problem yet that they all moved down. Now, them not working it out of there and trying to get it out of there ended up being a kind of a rubber down shitty feature around the bottom, which we all, again, you're going to get one or the other.
Mm-hmm.
We saw 4 great heat races. Was it worth what we saw in the feature? No. Listen, we're PA guys. We're going to take a Logan win anytime. But I know the rest of the world, after watching those heats, we're like, let's go. We're going to have a banger of a feature here. But we all, unfortunately, our fears came true. We all kind of like jumped the gun on the heat races. It ended up that way, and it didn't. We were like, okay, proved us wrong here. But unfortunately, it proved us right for the feature. Sucks. It is what it is. That's why I look at this top 10. Look at the movers inside the top 10.
Yeah, there wasn't much.
Really nothing. And nobody blew up tires.
No, and it was caution free. It went 40 laps.
You didn't end up with that mess. So, I'm sure everybody inside that top 10 is very thankful, based on how it ended, that they got what they got and didn't end up 17th because they were the first one and only one to blow a tire.
Right.
Thankful there. But man, I know everybody would have wished for 80% of what we saw in the heats, and we didn't get it. So
and it wasn't the feature wasn't and like I said, I think Friday had a nice balance. It was good throughout the entire night, and like everybody thought on Friday night, it was going to just rubber up immediately because of the way the track looked. It didn't. It was great racing. And then Saturday night, I mean, it was still racy. There's still 2 lanes. It wasn't as racy as the heats or the night before, but they weren't all choo-choo on the bottom until about 15 laps to go. The first 35 or 25 laps of this race were still, you guys on the top, guys on the bottom. They're still able to get through some lap traffic here, but yeah, Logan and Carson were the 2 fastest cars all weekend. Donnie Schatz was very fast, and it was also, um, Friday night he had to really come from the back, but he started up front here and was able to stay up front. And maybe we start seeing that a little bit more with Donnie. Rico, who didn't even make the first night, he missed the feature the first night. He ran up there pretty well, but just a little unfortunate. But I mean, after how many laps over the weekend, and they really tried. They did a lot more track work on Saturday than they did on Friday, and it ended up so rubbering. So it's just a lot of laps on the track, and probably the conditions and everything. It's just how it goes sometimes. Hate to see it, but it happens. They at least produced great heat racing. Shout out here Tanner Thorson. He looked really good all weekend. Getting a top 10 here. And also a great recovery for Kerry Madsen in the top 10. Yeah, that was and Justin Peck had 2 top 15 finishes for this weekend. Looked pretty decent. Yeah, and Danny was going to start 19th. That's where he would have started in this feature. So I think overall he made the right decision. For sure.
You know what's frustrating, I bet? The most frustrated person in this field, Donnie Schatz. That heat race to get to the dash to start 5th finally. His average starting spot's like 13 for the year. Finally gets to start inside the top 5, and we get that.
Yeah.
It's got to be frustrating. But, hey, listen, that's a podium for Donnie. They'll take it. But, man, he gets to start inside the top 5, earns the spot, time trial, heat. I don't think he got timed that well. He passed a bunch of cars in heat to get to the dash, I think. But, man, that sucks.
Zach Hampton had to go from Zach Hampton went from a non-qualifier to start 12th in this feature. That's how good these heat races were and how much you could pass. To go start shotgun on the field and get yourself you got up to 3rd in the features.
Can we just point out
is awesome.
That I know Jay-Z wants to feel bad for Donnie Schatz, but for the last 2 decades, this fella's been on the other side of it. Like, I'm not sorry for him.
Yeah, but it's been 3 years, right? He won some big races, but the struggles have been well noted, and still wants to get it done and can do it, and has passed a lot of cars into races. Just needs to put it together, and finally gets the spot where it's like we're near. I can see the front right there, and you get that.
And now he probably knows how some of these other guys felt from 2010 to 2017.
Probably, yes. I don't disagree.
Something from Dirt Track today, they removed all the Ford logos off the. We know that they were making the switch, but it seems like they're photoshopping Ford off of Donnie's fire suit and everything like that. So like they're definitely completely done. So maybe that's part of why, maybe that'll help improve this performance here. So
I don't think
to keep an eye on Donnie Schatz here.
It's not completely done. They're done until they feel that they have enough parts and this program's ready to go back. They're not giving up on it. But think about that though. Would Ford want their name on that race car not having a Ford engine in it? If you're working that high level with Ford.
Oh, for sure.
And everybody in the world knows it. You're not going to stamp your logo on the big ass logo on the side of a car not running your motor. So that's probably a mutual thing. It's not like Stewart, that team went, well, we're taking your logo off. You're not going to have it in the car. Like, no, Ford's probably like, hey, that's for now. Let's do that.
Yeah.
And from all accounts, they can say what they want to say in public. They ain't happy with the program. They can call it parts. They can call it what they want. But I say it's a convenient parts shortage to make a change to get this thing going until they feel they're ready to put it back in. That's just my take on it.
Yeah.
That's me being a keyboard warrior, Jimmy.
You must be an idiot.
Very true. I am, sir.
I hope I timed that right. I wasn't here last week to know what
That
that
was
means,
perfect.
but
That was
You got it
perfect.
right.
I just
That
do
was
my
perfect.
I just do my deal.
You got it right.
All right, let's take a look at the outlaw points. And really, the cream of the crop of the entire weekend was Logan Schuart and Carson Macedo. And this is the second week in a row that they have just chiseled about 8 to 10 points into David Gravel's point lead here, early season point lead. They were about 8. I think Carson was 84 or 89 back 2 weeks ago. Now he's only 64 back. Logan Schuart, 74 back. Buddy Kofoid, Sheldon Hanshield, Donnie Schatz, Gio Selzy, Bill Baylog keep their positions through 8th. Chris Wyndham breaks the tie with Garrett Williamson, moves up to 9th, and Garrett Williamson stays in 10th. Yeah, Chris, you can.
I'm
raise your
raising my hand because I have a question. Do either one of you realistically think someone's going to track David Gravel down and win this championship?
Carson Macedo, I think, can.
Not can. Will they?
I mean, for how good David Gravel has looked early this season, it's hard for me to say yes.
And we're not even
Carson
going
Macedo
to
was
his.
my pick to win the title this year.
We're not
and
even hitting Gravel's best stretch. Like he's done this. Well, in a stretch where him and Mercedo are even. Like historically, he's made up ground in the old days when Brad Sweet through this stretch of weeks coming up in the next month or two. He's only going to extend this, right? That team's
I
firing
don't.
up.
Well, you could say that, but they also have tightened up 20 points in 2 weeks on David Gravel's lead. So if they can at least keep him in check and make it interesting to the end of the season, Carson's been.
That would be great.
You know what I mean? I mean, we'll see. I think Carson has shown a lot more consistency than we've seen out of him. He has the speed. I think he has the speed to match David Gravel. It's just
JZ, what
about
do you think?
consistency and completing an entire night constantly, just like David Gravel does. I mean, Gravel. But that being said, I think now going into the season, I felt like Macedo and Gravel had the same speed. It was just about Macedo finding the consistency. Let me clear that. This season, though, it does seem like David Gravel has taken it somehow an extra step in his speed. So it's going to be tough. But I think they do. Logan, I'm hoping that this is consistency here and can continue to move forward here. But I really think it's more going to be Gravel versus Macedo.
It pains me to say this, but David Gravel has taken that I can't beat Brad Sweet mantra that the internet keyboard warriors talk about. And he's like, all right, watch this. He's now literally being Brad Sweet, where even his bad nights, he finishes 3rd, 4th. He's just going to.
Yeah.
And he's faster.
Mm-hmm.
Like Brad Sweet. We saw him last year. I mean, with all due respect to Brad Sweet, the big shows, he missed the Kings Royal. David Gravel's like, nah, I don't have to beat you straight up. If you were here, I'd still kick your dick in. Like, he's doing the same Brad Sweet level of consistency.
Yeah.
And he's just, it sucks. It sucks for Gravel haters, but great for David Gravel. And it's, see a driver mature to that level. And like, I would love for Carson Macedo or Logan Schuart to get here. I just don't know how. Because they're going to get close, and David Gravel's just going to inch away the way Donnie Schatz used to do, the way Brad Sweet did for 5 years. Like it's wild. Go ahead,
Yeah.
JZ.
No, I'm just listening. You got this handled.
Can you beat David Gravel?
What?
Anything. I don't know. Can anyone beat him in anything? I don't know. I can't even beat him in checkers, bro.
Just on the scale, buddy. Just on the scale.
I do think Macedo is going to be that Gravel to what
Brad Sweet
Gravel was to
Yeah.
Sweet. I think that's what Macedo is going to be to Gravel.
And I feel like Logan Schuhart's to Jack Hodenshield to the Kenzer Lasowski.
Yeah.
Like, he's just going to be there.
Yeah, it's a
Fan favorite that's never going to win a championship.
I do think it's going to be interesting to see Donnie's here in 6th in points, 212 back. It's going to be interesting to see if he can get himself. I don't know if he's going to get himself in the conversation for the championship, but if he could continue this consistency.
So this is what year for Donnie? His rookie year was what, 96, 95?
You're the historian here.
I want to say this is year 30. I have his rookie car. I should know this. 97, something like that. Either way, he's getting up there. they were at that part where we're not worried about where Donnie's not winning another championship. We're past that, right? Can he go win another Knoxville Nationals? Absolutely. I would never bet against Donnie Shotsville, right?
Mm-hmm.
National Open, something like that. I don't think we see another championship out of Donnie Shots, and that's okay. He's still very good at what he does.
Mm-hmm.
I want to say this is year 30, 25?
Yeah, somewhere in there.
Like, we're getting there.
But
Like,
it's early enough that if they caught this here, if he can get the consistency where he's running up at the back half of that top 5 every week, and maybe get a couple wins, he can get himself. I don't know
his
necessarily in the championship contention, but he can get himself up between Buddy and Logan, I think, and be up in there.
the problem with Donnie Shots in your theory is his consistency right now is 5th to 7th. And those guys
He's
are
finished third.
consistently 5th to 7th. Those guys are 1 and 2. 1 to 3, somewhere in there.
Not Buddy and Logan, but I'm talking about Buddy and Sheldon here that are right in
Oh,
front
yeah,
of him.
I mean,
He can definitely leapfrog those guys. And I agree with you. It's kind of
I
like
would hope.
Macedo,
Those guys
Gravel,
gonna
and Schuhart are
crash.
like 1, 2, 3 right now almost every week. So it'd be hard for him to. But I think if he shows that speed, one, it's going to throw a wrench. I think having another consistently fast guy up in the top 5 is going to kind of throw a wrench into and kind of keep David Gravel in check and maybe keep him within arm's reach. We'll see. A lot of season left to go. It's only April, but
I do need to address one thing in the comments. Randy Kopp, I do absolutely not have a man crush on David Gravel. That guy. He spun Stevie Smith, and I'm not over it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and Matt Bird actually says here, Gravel lost his top 5 streak. I mean, he finished 6th. But that just goes to show how consistent he's been. It's been crazy. But, 6 can turn into a 9. They're going to go to Knoxville this week where there's going to be 70 cars. Anything could happen there. You know what I mean?
Sure, they get provisionals and all that monkey shit, which
Sure,
sucks.
I agree.
It sucks. Like, I wish they didn't, but I get why they do. Randy's got me all riled up because the only thing I hate more than David Gravel is probably Brad Sweet. But David Gravel did spin Stevie Smith, so there's that. But yeah, Knoxville, who knows?
Yeah. Well, let's get into that. Let's start previewing this upcoming weekend. We're going to start with the weather. Going back to the cancellations this past week, the makeup race at Williams Grove that was on 4-4 2 weeks ago when they got rained out, what Matt Campbell is leading, that will be part of this upcoming week's race. The Lynn Paxton Tribute race that was scheduled for this past Saturday, that will now be part of the Labor Day Classic at Port Royal. So that should make that race pretty interesting. Extra money on the line. It should be. They're going to incorporate it somehow. They didn't really say format, but I do know it was a time trial show. So that's what happened to those 2 races at least. Sealands Grove is looking for a makeup date for theirs, and I think Lincoln's was just a regular show, so I don't think they're going to be doing any type of makeup there. But looking at this weekend, Friday looks really good. You got Williams Grove and Sealands Grove. Sealands Grove's racing late models. Williams Grove's the only 410 race in town. Don't worry. Where they have pretty good weather. It looks like pretty good weather most of this week. 68 degrees, partly sunny. Only going to get down into the mid to low 50s. No chance of rain really on Friday night. Knock on wood. So those races should get in. Sealands Grove could finally get their place open. They were doing test and tune the night. Looks like they had a decent turnout, so that's pretty cool. So yeah, and then Saturday, gonna have to just keep an eye on it. It looks mostly like showers and thunderstorms. It's gonna be very mild. It's gonna be near 80, mid 70s, but about an 80% chance of some thunderstorms throughout the day. Some storms. So something to keep an eye on. Hopefully, with how warm that is, I feel, and if it's that spotty, especially if it stays early in the day and doesn't happen late in the day, I think they can get all these Port Royal, Lincoln, and BAPS can all get their races in. So fingers crossed that the rain doesn't ruin our parade here, and we finally get maybe a full weekend in of racing. And then Wednesday or Sunday's obviously Easter, so no racing on Sunday. So Friday, Williams Grove, Tommy Hintershit's Classic, $8,088 to win, and street stocks. This is also the first Hoosier Diamond Series event of the year, and they will be using the PA Speed Week format. So we got a time trial show, first time trial show of the year. It was going to be this past Saturday at Port, but with the cancellation, this will actually be the official first time trial show of the year. 7 p.m., $25 to get in. You could also catch it on Dirt Vision. And like I said, Sealands Grove will have super and limited late lot models and Roadrunners, 7 p.m., $20 to get in. And then Saturday is the 21st annual Weldon Sterner Memorial at Lincoln. Time trials for the 410s and 358 sprint cars. 6 p.m. is start time, $30 to get in. There's you got the fan zone from 3:30 to 4:30. You can go in the pits, meet your drivers, get to walk through the pits pretty good. Easter egg hunt, big wheel races. They have a bunch of things planned. I'm pretty sure they have some auctions. They'll be auctioning some stuff off. This is we've had Ashley Capetta who pretty much organizes this race. We've had her on for the past 2 years,
yeah.
and to help promote this thing. I think it's rained both times, so might
I
be good that
see Van May might have some wing panels for sale.
That's pretty cool.
From his one of one car, the 69. I didn't quite understand why he was selling them, but I saw his post. He said it may be for sale. I don't know.
Cool. Something to
because
keep an eye on.
Weldon Sterner was a big supporter of him and then his car that he built. So interesting.
Yeah, that'll be interesting. So there'll be a lot of stuff going on there. They put a lot of time and effort into that race. I do know the purse is upped, but I don't have it
I
handy.
couldn't find
so-
the winners. I couldn't find the purse layout anywhere. And I had a question on that. Somebody, a chat, and I couldn't find the winner number. I couldn't find the purse throughout the field. I couldn't find any data on it. And I know there's been a lot of stuff leading up to it for that, but that's one of the few things I haven't seen.
Yeah, that's true. I haven't seen any of that, so I'm sure that'll come out. Maybe they're waiting until it gets closer, see kind of exactly what funding they have for it.
Well, I mean, if you're going to try to make this a big event, pull other cars, you should probably know by now. You should probably tell that. So if you're going to get any cars from Port that are 50-50, you should probably put it out there if you have it.
I think I did see for 358.
No,
they
I'm
had
talking 410s.
Right.
Now I'm not 358 don't race at Port this weekend.
I'm saying I did see that number, but I don't know. I'll give grace to Competa and Pat Cerner. They'll figure it out.
For what? What do you mean figure it out?
They have a plan.
To say it
they'll be racing for it's $10,069 to win. I just went and checked on there. So
$10,069.
Fan zone 3:30 to 4:30. Grandstands at 4. Easter egg hunt at 4:30 to 5 p.m. Time trials at 6. There'll be an intermission with big wheel races. It is $30 to get in, and it is $10,000 to win. So these are 2 big money weekend races between Williams Grove and Lincoln here, back to back. Really the first time all season. So yeah, $10,069 to win.
And
I did not see that when I made this graphic, and then I went in there today and I
saw it a few different times, but
Hard Charger money, heat race winner money, amongst other things. So
I gotta straighten up. I saw Dakota said Sean Keen's in chat. I gotta make sure my hat's straight.
That's time trials as well, right? For the Sterner?
Yes. Yep. Time trials for the Sterner. So that'll be a big deal. Hopefully this weather stays away and gets a good crowd there. Like I said, we know Ashley and them put a lot of money into this.
Dakota,
and a lot of effort into this event.
Dakota, you're supposed to tune up my 96 big wheel. What the hell?
Also, at Port Royal on Saturday, you have Port Royal, which this is actually a group time trial show for the 410s. You'll have the super late models, which is also a time trial show. and the past 305 sprint cars. Super late models here, time trials, because the winner gets a guaranteed start on the April 27th Lucas Oil late model race, which usually gets like 50 cars. So you get a guaranteed spot if you win this race. So $6, $20 to get 6 p.m., $20 to get in. It'll also be on Flow Racing. So it should be a good turnout there. And then at BAPS, $5 ladies night. And it's features only, start them all. 5 division, super sportsman, late models, 602 crate modifieds, extreme stocks, and classic cars. Features only, 5 division show. Start everybody. $15 to get in. If you're not a lady, if you're a lady, you get $5 to get in, 5 p.m. So if you're in the area for that, definitely check that out as
I'm
well.
hyped. Dakota Coon can get in there for $5. That's amazing.
So yeah, some big, we're starting to ramp up here a little bit. It won't be like this every week, but this is our first big weekend where we got time trial shows. I mean, we got 3 time trial shows between the Sterner, it's group time trials for the 410s at Port, and then you got Williams Grove with the Hintershits on Friday. So, get out to the track for sure. Support these events, and yeah, let's just hope that the weather holds off on Saturday. I think Friday's going to be no problem. I think Williams Grove's going to have a lot of cars for sure. I could see probably 30 on Friday.
I just love that Dakota stole my joke. Dakota, we could be a lesbian couple. We both get them for $5. I'm kidding. I will be at Williams Grove Friday night. That I do know,
Thanks.
and that's
Cool.
it.
Okay, cool.
Good story. Thanks for talking.
And then the World of Outlaws, they just had 60 at I-55. I would not doubt if there's 70 here for Knoxville. It's not just
70.
Knoxville. It's their season opener at Knoxville. First of all, their 410 class usually gets almost 30 cars to begin with, if not more, weekly. And then you still have high limit off. They're all gonna go there. Because any laps that you get at Knoxville before the Nationals are very important. I already know Kyle Larson's going there because NASCAR's off as well. So he said he's already racing Knoxville Friday and Saturday. So yeah, I could definitely see at close to 70 cars for this one, and the weather looks good. About mid 60s during the day and mostly sunny, and then mid 40s at night. Not really a chance of rain, so it looks really good for this weekend. And
70?
good on. This is a good weekend for Williams Grove and Lincoln, these guys to be able to do a bigger purse race to try to keep some of these guys home, because I would probably think you might still see some of our guys, maybe like a Macri, go out there for this one. I'm not sure. I'm just speculating, but like I said, every lap at Knoxville that for those, if you're serious about the Nationals, every lap there is very important. So this is a good weekend for that. So yeah. I don't know. I think I might do Sealands Grove on Friday and Port on Saturday. That's my plan if I do go. So see how things go. But yeah, good. As long as the weather stays, whether here or if you stay at home, you're going to have good options to watch. I'm sure Knoxville's going to be packed pits and good racing, hopefully. All right. Tyler says Tanner Holmes is invading Knoxville from California. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, you're going to get, I think 70s could be conservative.
55 is my guess, but
55.
continue on.
I mean, if they got 60 for I-55, I don't see how they don't at least get more than that.
Yeah, I'm just going to go 55 just to be different.
I think we'll have some good turnouts here. I think you see at least 30 at Lincoln. You'll see, because we talked to a lot of drivers over the past year, and a lot of them say, hey, I'm picking out the time trial shows. So this is that weekend. that you're going to start seeing some of these guys pick and choose, maybe because they're going for time trial shows. So like a Chase Dietz will probably be at, I'm assuming he's going to be at Lincoln, we'll see, but
Unless he's in Knoxville, we don't know.
or maybe, you know what I mean? Who knows? 10,000 to win on Saturday night, that's a big purse. You're going to see quite a bit of cars there at Lincoln. So, yeah. So let's get the drink it or dump it.
Well, I just want to know why Dakota wants to punch me in the face right now. That's fucked up. He's the one that tunes my fucking big wheel.
Isaac says 23 will be at Lincoln. I kind of figured that one, so thank you for confirming that. Marie says she'll be watching USAC Midgets at Kokomo. That should be pretty fun. Dave Scott Smeltzer, my birthday is this Friday, so hey, happy birthday. Also, happy belated birthday to Jay-Z. His was this past Friday, so happy birthday, Jay-Z.
Thank you.
So I'm going to drink it to you, and then I'm going to dump it to I don't want to keep doing weather every week. I'm going to dump it to Jason personally. He was very, very fast in the Silver Crown race and screwed it up. But yeah, who wants to go next?
I'll go next. So I'll drink it to Brett Perigo, drive an absolute piss out of that thing against Tony Jackson. I appreciate his effort. Tony Jackson had a better car. Oh well, that's racing. But Brett, he absolutely drove the hell out of it, and I'm so proud of him. That was cool as shit to watch. I'll dump it to, I don't even know the racetrack. Roger Crockett hits an opening in the middle of the corner. Like, what are we doing? Like, I want to dump it to racetracks with, I don't know the proper term, but a damn opening with a tire barrier in the center of the corner. Like, we talk about driver safety, fan safety. Greg Hudden had the issue at BAPS, obviously, that ended his life, an opening. Williams Grove has no catch fence, and there's some openings there, but you're talking center corner, right on the edge of the cushion. If you miss it by a bit, you get a center punch by a wall. That's not smart. So how do we go about solving that? Like, forgive me, don't remember the racetrack, but it goes for all racetracks, right? Like, just let's be better. Let's be better about these openings. These openings have led to more fatalities and injuries than almost anything else. So let's just learn from it and be better.
Agreed. Find all the places where you think a car could wreck and you don't think they will. They'll find it.
Absolutely.
That is in the Bible of auto racing, is that if there's a place to be found that they haven't found, they will find it. So to crash. My drink it this week is to Colton Gallus and BAPS. And here's why. And only a few people will know this, but in turn 1 and 2, where like the pace truck comes off the racetrack and goes into a little opening in 1 and 2, turns around and sits. That area is grass, and it was, and it gets soft in there. They had at some point come in and laid a whole bunch of stone because that would have been an absolute mud hole last night. Like you would not have been able to walk through there. Officials, it would have been unsafe for officials, vehicles. Like the pace truck would turn around and you could see the moisture coming up through the stones is when it turned, like underneath that. That's how bad it was.
Amazing.
Like
That's
I'm telling you
amazing.
that from a facility standpoint, they couldn't have been very far from pulling the plug yesterday. And it would have been nuts, but they went in and they had stone, and it was like not like just filled dirt. Like they put stone down in that area. So shout out to what it looks to me a pretty big effort to make this happen yesterday. And what a great field of cars that they had, right? Full field in every division. How many 410s? 37?
37 410s.
37 410s. After the first event didn't quite have the turnout we thought, this one did. And there were still cars that weren't there that could have been, right?
Yep.
So shout
Chase
out
Deep
to
being one
BAPS
of
and Colton Gallus and everything they did yesterday to make that event happen when, like I said, there were signs of it could have easily just been like, we're out. And I'll dump it to Ryan Taylor. Just not a great start in the 1W yet. They, needs the seat time, needs to get going. Mechanical issue. Thankfully, it wasn't, a serious mechanical issue at Williams Grove. come back. They've been rained out. They haven't been running. Come out the BAPS, and I'm not even sure what happened. I was the owner on the racetrack and flips over, scratched for the night. So hopefully Ryan, they get that thing up and running. He can get some laps and get going and put a season together.
Yeah, and that was something to your drink it about BAPS getting theirs in. Looking at the forecast earlier last week, it was like, yeah, it looks like it's going to be nice on Sunday, but that doesn't mean that they necessarily get it in because of how much rain we were going to be
Right.
getting. And that's the example of what we're talking about there. What Jay-Z's saying there is, even though if if the weather is nice, if we got dumped on for 2-3 days, the ground's too soft. You can't. They have to go through extra effort to try to get it in. So they did it, and they were rewarded for it with a great race and a good car count. So you're right. I agree with you on that one.
And I hope the crowd. I didn't see it personally. Couldn't make it there because of stuff with my daughter. But I hope the crowd rewarded them because hell, BAPS is going to put in an effort when it makes
Mhm.
sense. And I think historically we've seen that. If it makes sense business wise, they're going to put in the effort. So good for them to get a good show out of it.
Yeah, absolutely. Get to some fan ones here. Drink it to Briggs Danner, says Marie Beasley, and dump it to Mother Nature.
Yeah, Mother Nature's a hoe.
James Magby says, "Happy belated birthday, Jay-Z." And then who else said something here? Amanda says, "Happy belated birthday, Jay-Z. You look great for 20."
Right? I don't know. I think it's actually the opposite. I look like shit for 20. We'll put it that way.
You look great for 30-ish.
Dave Scott Smeltzer says, "Drink it to the 86 Chase Dietz on Sunday for going from 20th to 6th in the Silver Crown race." And then he says, "Dump it to the midget guy that flipped." Matthew Bird says, "Drink it to my 7-foot ass jumping in my cart this Friday to start our season at 7 Stars Speedway, and dump it to all the red flags yesterday at BAPS."
Matthew Bird, is you in the cart just a test and tune, or are you racing Friday? Message me, let me know.
Yeah. Oh, I think it's just a test and tune for them. I could be wrong.
That's how I read it too. I'm just confirming.
Yeah.
Santos says, "Drink it to Danny, dump it to Cam Smith having a great start to a day, then very quickly a bad night. Sorry, I'm just tuning in now. I was buying a new car. Congratulations, drink it to you, my friend. Hope the new ride serves you well." Flyer fan says, "Drink it to Danny on the win at BAPS. Dump it to JJ Loss for having a car that wouldn't fire up." Yeah, he
That
couldn't
was
get
tough
that thing
break.
fired up at all. Dakota says, "Drink it to Chris for having a banger. Drink it."
I mean, I'm saying, if you all haven't seen it, watch Tony Jackson and Brett Perigo battle it out there. That
Yeah.
was amazing. Tony Jackson had Brett dead to rights, 3, 4, 5 times, and Brett says, "Nah, I'm gonna come back," and it was amazing. John Crawl did his best to articulate it, but proud of Brett. A hell of a drive by Brett Perigo, and Tony Jackson did Tony Jackson things. He had great driving too, a lot of heads up stuff, checking up and letting Brett slide through and things like that. Saved both of them, but clean, hard racing. You love to see it.
Randy Kopp, "Dump it to the rain on the weekends. Drink it to Chris returning to the show. Enjoy it while it
Prodigal
lasts."
son has
Is
returned.
this a bad time to save
Next
limited
week he'll fall asleep.
limited edition only though?
Yeah.
Is this a time?
Yeah.
Is this a time? So this is going to end here soon, at least as far as Monday nights go.
For you.
For me.
For you, to be clear.
We're all not. I thought we were.
We're not.
Oh no! You
Not
two
shutting the whole
suckers
thing
are
down.
staying. You twos are staying.
Oh,
I have a new opportunity that I'm taking on. I don't know when I'll start, but coming
not
soon.
podcast, by the way. He tried that
It's-
before.
No, yeah, and it did great until it didn't. Um, with real life work, I'll be doing that a couple nights a week, so I can't guarantee I'll be here. What I can guarantee is some live shows. I know we have the deal on May 17th. I'll be there for that. But as far as Monday nights go, you probably won't see me much longer. I'll be behind the scenes, helping the boys, Jay Z and Jimmy, doing things, but life comes first, and
We're
I gotta
gonna
do
be. We're gonna try to do some type of I
right.
want to call it Critters Corner, but some type
And
of maybe
that's
a
fine.
segment or something that we put out each week, so we get your thoughts or maybe something you want to fire off on or something. Fans want to see it.
But
People obviously
as far as the
don't want
Monday
to see
show
you go.
as far as the Monday show goes, and guaranteed presence, that's not it's not feasible. Once I take this new role on, because life goes on, and I have to base it around my daughter and shit like that. So, um, still be a part of the podcast, still be a part of my boys here, Jimmy and Jay Z, but you may not see me every Monday. I will probably start fights with you on Facebook though.
Yeah, he's still very much a part of the podcast. It's not going to change. Just Mondays will be a little bit different. And it's kind of happened the past few weeks anyway. So, but yeah,
Just cause.
Yeah, listen, man, real life's way more important than this. We have fun with this. We have a couple people that watch each week, and we appreciate that very much. We have a great time doing it and talking racing with all of you fans. We're just fans that happen to have microphones and cameras and put something together here. So appreciate Chris. No matter how much shit I give him on his just random
Hey,
shit.
you
Um,
still love me, bro.
we
that's
love
kind
it.
of what I'm
We
saying.
do.
So why don't you just shut up and listen for a minute, all
No,
right?
fuck you. That's why.
But we there's certainly life is more important, and you got to take the opportunities, and I don't blame you a bit. It's been touch and go since we started this for all of us in certain ways. Like
Mhm.
things change and move this way, it could change. So good luck, my friend. We'll definitely know that you're not going anywhere, but at the same time, these Mondays will be it'll be different for sure. And
You
we'll
probably
get
have
a
shorter shows.
we'll get a third host that knows what's going on. So we'll bring somebody in.
They want my sunglasses though.
They don't. I can promise you,
Oh.
no one wants those.
There's a lot of sad emojis in the chat right now and a lot of tears. A lot of people are gonna miss you, Chris. You'll be back next week, though. Am I correct? What's the plan?
I don't know what's next week.
Monday, dummy.
Next Monday.
Oh yeah. I mean, I guess we'll see when we get here.
So wait. You're saying your goodbyes, but you're going to be back next week.
I don't know.
He doesn't know if he's gonna be back.
I live my life a quarter mile at a time.
Oh no. Okay. All right.
But yeah, Chris will still be around. He'll be, at the track and everything, and we'll keep, we're gonna try to figure something out to at least try to get his presence here for you guys, either on Mondays or in some way. So we'll figure something out. Let's go back
What's
to
next?
some more. Drink it. Mandy says, "Drink it." The positive sounding updates on Austin Hope.
Saw that. That's great for Austin.
Yes. All the weekend winners. Bill Rose being cleared to race. Chase Dietz, Double D driving 13 hours and still winning at BAPS. Dump it. Weather again somehow. Do I sound like a broken record? Yeah, that's why I didn't pick it this week. All the wrecks and whoever tore up the parking lot or whatever at BAPS. I don't know if they ever found out. There is a $2,000 reward to do that. To find the perpetrator. So anybody knows who drives a big dumbass lifted truck and tore up the BAPS parking lot, get yourself some money doing so.
You know what's cool is in this crowd, we all know we don't drive any one of those things. In fact, I was bitching my car doesn't get high enough off the ground to change the oil properly. So that's been my day.
Brandon says, "Drink it to Danny for a dominant win at BAPS. Dump it to having to go back to work tomorrow." Yeah, shout out to that. Daniel Lee, drink it to Double D. Dump it to JJ Lawson. His engine troubles. It's Matt Bird says it's a test and tune race format, so it's a non-points race. Dakota says, "Shout out for Chris's Dump It. This man was on it tonight in that area."
Yeah, I was fucking on fire.
And then just the Chris is saying goodbyes. Definitely going to miss having you around, Chris. Marie's sobbing a little bit.
It's fine. This is not
Chris
goodbye.
lives his drum set lives his life one drum set at a time. Austin says Critters Corner sounds like a rundown strip club.
That's also true. Probably raccoons and shit in there. Like, this is not goodbye. This is just a different
Yeah, he'll be
different
taking
role.
on a
Different
different
role.
role with the
Like,
podcast.
You're
I'll
letting-
still be
you're
very
letting-
much involved.
You're letting Coons in Critters Corner?
Not even engaging. I will be at this event though. Go ahead,
Yes.
Jimmy.
This event, second annual Vertical for Life Music Festival. We talked about this with Brad Weatherby last week. Want to make sure we remind you guys it's on May 3rd at 30 or not 30, 80 Glendale Drive in Mechanicsburg. A bunch of bands, service dog demo, $15 to get in. It goes to a great cause. So if you're in the area, we'll get you more information. Gates open at 11:30 a.m. So could go definitely early on in the day before any racing that night. So it is a Saturday. So hopefully it'll happen rain or shine. So definitely go and check it out. Support a good cause. And also, if you can't make it to this, go to verticalforlife.com and donate. They do a lot of great things. So for veterans. So definitely
And
check that out.
with that, today actually, I packed up a lot of shirts
Yes.
for Vertical for Life, a bunch of different sizes. So what I'm gonna do with them at this event, at our event May 17th for the Fallen Firefighters event,
Yeah.
I'm gonna have them there. I'm gonna have the shirts, various sizes. Any donation, you get a shirt, you Venmo, Cash App, whatever, to Vertical for Life.
Well,
Get
the
the
box
shirts.
there or something.
We don't care. There's a bunch of old shirts, and we wear them. I
Mhm.
wear them. So donate anything to them. That's going to help Brad and his organization. Anything.
Yeah.
$5 is kind of what I'm hoping for, but whatever you want to do, just Venmo it, and by that time I'll have their Venmo available, so we can just show proof that you sent to them, and boom, shirt's yours. That's what I want to do for this event and any live event that we do. So what I can confirm, yes, I'm going to be here Mondays, but I will be at almost all the live events that we do, and some pit walks here and there.
Yeah.
And now that they're packed up, I'm in the backpack. So any event you know we're at, let us know and get yourself a Vertical for Life T-shirt.
Yeah, we'll have those there, and awesome what they do, and definitely donate to that. So guys, thanks so much for tuning in this week. Hopefully the weather stays away and we have a lot of really big races to talk about next week between Knoxville, the Sterner, the Hintershits, everything else going on this upcoming week. We will see you guys at the racetrack.